started the string with, because that was a dance type beat, and that's kind of what I've been on lately. Yeah, I just been kind of on some dance type lately. So in the mornings when I'm getting my kids and stuff ready, I'm usually playing a lot of music and stuff, and I'm trying to elevate the vibe for the day, because trying to go off to school or whatever, hubby trying to go off to work. Don't nobody want to start the day all in a funk. So I be like playing dance music, and it's got me in this mode where I've been like really trying to study the format of these songs that I like, and figure out what I want to pull from it and implement into my own production. So what I do is start with the first sequence and just build everything out from there. That's really how I usually do everything. So I put everything in one, and kind of like almost like reverse engineer it, like build the whole song and then reverse engineer it backwards, right? So right here is sequence one. Hear exactly what it sounds like. I'll let you hear what it sounds like So, like I said, I do everything in the first sequence and go from there. And I usually, like I just kind of showed you in sequence one. In sequence one, I do this track by track. So like that's the actual bass, and that's another thing too. Like all the plugins is like basically stock and sounds. So like this, as you can see, is just a drum program. Like I said, I did it one by one, and not everybody does that. Like I said, same drum program. And it's plugin, totally different plugin, program. So this is the intro. This is all this playing in the intro, right? Nothing else. Like I said, in this part, this is all this playing because the intro. That's it. By itself, that don't sound like shit, do it. Let's unsolo it. Right. Now, back over here. Let's solo. By itself, it don't sound like much, do it. And see, what I'm realizing over time, simplicity and key. Now let's go back. So this is like a hard sawtooth type synth. I could be wrong because the technicalities and the musicalities and the whatever, that's not really my thing. I play by ear. I'm self-taught. I don't know all that. But it's basically like I said, like a harder synth, like a sawtooth type. And like I said, by itself, but honestly, this one by itself though, it is creating a little groove. It do got a little something to it. Not even gonna hold you. But even still, by itself, it's still not doing much, right? But then, I solo it all together. Alright, so.
Arkayde, hear what to say.
Moving on to the verse and how I set up the verse, right? So the verse is 16 bars. We just want to add a little balance. Create enough bounce to leave enough space that a rapper or a singer can put whatever they're trying to put on. Let's go back to the verse. As you can see, the verse is a 4-bar loop. And the drums kind of are like a 2-bar pattern, really. basic kick, nothing crazy, but it establishes a nice little bounce. See, nice little bounce, nothing crazy. Basic clap, little bounce. Slight switch up at the end of the 4 bar. So the first part, right? First part of verse 1 is 8 bars. It's a 4 bar loop, repeated twice. Then when I go into the second part of verse 2, and I usually break it up into 2 parts usually, so that way it doesn't get boring. And sometimes you don't even notice the switch ups. You're just not bored listening to the beat. Minute switch ups, or like little ear candy, or like little just minor details that make all the difference. So going into verse 1 part 2, and see, yeah, so what is the difference? Nothing really, other than I added in that bell. That's the only difference. Right, the bell. The pre-hook is basically the intro, so I'll show you what I mean. So I could have renamed it, but what's the point? I'm just reusing it. It's not gonna be that good, you know what I'm saying? And then we go into the hook. So what is that? That's a bass kick. So that bass kick is just adding a little extra oomph to the kick that I already had. So I added that to the hook. So all that is a little extra snare to add some texture to the claps that I already have. So it's not really, the placement isn't even like in a standout place or anything. It's literally just to add some extra texture. I don't know, like sometimes people don't layer their drums, and it's kind of low-key a hack to your sound design. Just layer your drums with other drums of a similar nature or what have you, of a similar tone. Sometimes you can even get slightly off tone too, but you know. See, you can't even really tell the difference in the singer. It's all put together. So that bass line is like a sine wave bass line. It's kind of like a soft sub bass. All right, so we're gonna go on to the hook part 2, and so this is funny. So really, hook part 2 is really more so the hook. To be honest, I'm not even gonna hold you. It's kind of funny how that works. Added the hi-hats, nothing crazy. Like I said, I did 1 by 1. So like I'm not no professional finger drummer or nothing like that. And you don't have to be to make a decent beat. Although it helps if you're trying to make like some crazy ass drums. I ain't gonna hold you, it'd be nice. Again, just the bell. And it's only hitting. The extra layer with the snare for the claps, and that was like the little next tail chirp, and that was just for like the little, I don't know why, but people like the next tail chirp, especially like Drake fans. I don't know why, but they like the next tail chirp. So just kind of, you know, shit, I like the next tail chirp. so going into verse 2. And then just for like continuity, I try not to drop out too many sounds after a while. Like once I get to a certain point, I try not to drop out too many sounds. If I do, I'm trying to introduce more stuff, so I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. All you're hearing is the clap, the hi-hats, the kick, the bell, and the melodies. You're not hearing the rest of the drums or whatever. And then in verse 2, part 2, we switch it up a little bit more. So verse 2, part 2 has more of like a breakdown type feel to it. And the only difference was taking out that tube synth. That was the only difference. See? Because part 1 of verse 2 has this top line melody. So this tube synth is serving as a top line melody, adding a little extra groove, a little extra melodics to it. But by taking it out of verse 2, part 2, we introduce a breakdown type feel. See, that shit kind of smooth, right? That was the only difference. Check out the instrument. And that's the same. The intro to hook part 2, same format. And then we get into the outro to switch it up. And I did something similar in my stamp beat, which was nothing more than a Rich Baby Daddy remake. And I just did that for learning purposes. I really didn't do it to resell it or anything like that. I actually didn't resell it. I gave it away to somebody, like if they wanted to do like a gag song or whatever to it. So that may or may not come out. I don't know. But yeah, so I did something similar when I did that Rich Baby Daddy remix, or remake, I should say. And all it is, if you pay attention to how that beat breaks down towards the end, the Rich Baby Daddy beat, they add a little bit of extra bounce. Nothing crazy. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So, alright. Same exact clap that I've been using, right? But then, add a little extra. Go back and listen to that Rich Baby Daddy beat. With Drake, SZA, and Sexy Red. And it's a very similar breakdown. Very similar breakdown. And it just adds a little, very simple, just to add a little extra bounce. And then the outro is really just that. And then we go right back into, I'm going to play it like this so you can actually hear it. Back in verse 2, part 2, because of that breakdown feel that it has. You know, so it's like you turn into like, it's like taking the people on a roller coaster and bringing them back to a point of return. So that was the point of ending the outro with the same sonics as verse 2, part 2, basically running it back. That was the whole point of that. So yeah, so I'm going to start doing these more often now that I've actually kind of figured this out. I still think a third camera would be very helpful. I think a third camera would be extremely helpful. So I might have to invest in one of those, because I can do it with my phone acting as like a secondary camera. But it's too ghetto. I don't like it. It's too ghetto. Too ghetto.